As I sit here right now, Justin Trudeau is down in Mar-A-Lago with Donald Trump having dinner. Was this the right move? Was this not the right move? I think it was. I think it was something Poilievre had the opportunity to do if he would have jumped in on the first day. As we all know, there's a big tariff potential war brewing right now between Canada, the United States, and Mexico. Now, Canada is positioning itself to cut Mexico out of this North American trade deal, which is a little crazy because last time they were going to negotiate a trade deal was also under Donald Trump. And Donald Trump originally just wanted to make the deal between Mexico and the United States. But the Mexican president at the time, AMLO, said he wanted Canada to be part of that deal. How times have changed. Now Canada wants to turn their back on Mexico. And I recently put a video on my channel of Doug Ford. And the crap Doug Ford talks about Mexico and the way he talks about Mexico is completely disrespectful. I think Mexico needs to cut Canada out of the deal the way the prime ministers are acting towards Mexico. They're acting like Mexico's a third world country, which it's not. If anything, Canada is on its way down. The economy is clinging on by a thread. Trudeau going down to Mar-A-Lago tonight, I'm sure he knows Donald Trump doesn't like him in the least, but he went there anyway. As much as I don't like Justin Trudeau, I do have to admit he really manned up to go down to Mar-A-Lago and try to straighten this thing out. Canada's whole economy is hanging in the balance. Even if he works this thing out with the 25% tariff, Canada is not in a very good situation economically. But if he doesn't work this thing out, they're headed towards devastation. So, I mean, Justin Trudeau's really close to being out of office. It looks like Pierre Poilievre next year is going to take over. So Trudeau could have just let this thing slide and let Canada go off the deep end, but he's going down to Mar-A-Lago. What do I think is going to happen down there? I think Trump wanted to have the ring kissed, and that's exactly what Trudeau is going there to do. And after what happened with Claudia Sheinbaum, I think he's going to welcome Trudeau a little bit more friendly than he probably would have otherwise. If you don't know what happened between Sheinbaum and Trump, Sheinbaum originally wrote a letter to Trump, and then she gave him a phone call. In that phone call, after it was done, Trump on his Truth Social said it was a great call. There's going to be no more immigration coming up to the southern border. Everything is good, that he's fixed it. Claudia Sheinbaum, on the other hand, a day later, said she never said that. So it's completely contradicting Trump. It's not getting the trade relationship off to a good start. The 25% tariff that's on Mexico, he may just keep that. Now, as far as Trudeau going down to Mar-A-Lago, it's going to be interesting because I'm sure Trump wants to have Canada on the exact same page. He's going to want military investment, military spending. He's going to want to shore up the borders, shore up immigration. He's going to basically have a list of demands that's going to turn Justin Trudeau into a conservative if he accepts those demands. Oh, do I think Trudeau will accept those demands? If he wants any shot at all in the next election, he's going to need to make sure there is no 25% tariff on Canada. So if Trump gives him a list of demands, I think he'll take it. And the one demand Trudeau needs to have back is for Trump to come out publicly and immediately saying we've negotiated a deal and there will be no 25% tariff on Trudeau. That will get Trudeau a lot of support within Canada, number one. But number two, the list of demands are going to be conservative demands. And he's going to have to basically reformat himself into a right-leaning liberal if he wants to survive in Canadian politics. Now, if he doesn't want to survive, there's already somebody ready to take the reins of Parliament, and that's Pierre Poilievre, and it's a Canadian. He's somebody that wants to put Canada first, just like Trump wants to put America first. So you say, why would Trump want Trudeau instead of Poilievre? Well, if Poilievre's going to put Canada first, even if he ideologically aligns with Trump, he's going to want to cut some hard deals in some places, and he's not going to be completely agreeable. With Trudeau, if he wants to save the country, he's going to have to bend over backwards for Trump, and anything Trump wants, he's going to have to give him. So in Trump's best interest, it may be better to have a puppet in Canadian government than somebody that's going to stand up for Canada like Pierre Poilievre. So we'll see what happens there. But going back to Doug Ford, if you don't know who Doug Ford is, he's a fat man that I have a video on my video section. He's the premier of Ottawa, which is the biggest economy in Canada for all the provinces. His brother used to be a crackhead, then got kicked out of politics, and now we have Doug Ford. Doug Ford does not know what he's talking about. He's talking about Canada will put tariffs on the United States. The last time Trump was in office, there was a little bit of a tariff trade war going on between Canada and the United States, but it didn't go into very big proportions. When this happened, Canada strategically put tariffs on the United States. At the time, Trump was just getting the lay of the land. Now, he's out for blood. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to cut a deal. He's not going to be playing around with tit-for-tat tariffs. He will completely shut down the Canadian economy if they want to play this tariff game. So it's not a good idea for Canada to try to put tariffs on the United States. And for Doug Ford to try to suggest things like this just shows he's an ignorant politician. And the way he's speaking about Mexico makes him twice as ignorant, because if things don't work out with the U.S. and Canada, he's going to need to go make some kind of trade deal with Mexico, and they're putting their foot in their mouth when they're talking about Mexico's a third world country and everything else. It's absolutely insane. Another video I had put on the main video channel was a speech with Christina Freeland. Now, Christina Freeland's the finance minister, and she's basically like Justin Trudeau's right-hand woman. If Trudeau steps down, she's very likely to be the head of the Liberal Party in Canada. She's bent over backwards for the World Economic Forum and had extremely liberal policies throughout the entire Justin Trudeau reign over Canada. So she didn't have much to say, and what she did have to say didn't sound very intelligent. They don't know what to do with Trump. They've planned for this liberal, progressive economic order, which the Western world has existed in since Ronald Reagan in the 1980s. Now you have somebody like Trump coming in who is a realist and is going to put his country first. So I don't know how they're going to deal with them. We'll see what happens with this dinner with Justin Trudeau and Trump, because it's really going to dictate the relationship between Canada and the United States going forward. I'm extremely interested to see what Trump says after this dinner, what Trudeau says after this dinner. One of my big guesses is there's not a lot of fentanyl coming in through the Canadian border, and there's not a lot of immigrants coming through the Canadian border. So when Trump made that statement that there'll be a 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada, and they need to shut down the fentanyl, and they need to shut down the immigration. Well, a lot of that statistically doesn't apply to Canada. I think what Trump wants to do is play Canada off of Mexico. All the promises he made leading up into the election, and he wants to deliver on them. In order to do that, he needs Mexico to play ball. The only way to get Mexico to play ball is say there's a 25% tariff on both of you if you don't clean up your countries. Canada's going to bend over backwards before Trump even gets into office to meet his demands. When they do that, Trump will take off the 25% tariff and say, this is what happens when you comply. Mexico's not complying. Now I'm going to make it a 35% tariff. And it's going to go on and on and on until he breaks Mexico's back and they're willing to do exactly what Canada did. At least that's what I think Trump's thinking in his mind. To go on further from that, on the main channel, I've been posting mainly political speeches, things like this. So it's been mainly so far about the tariff war between Canada, the United States, and Mexico. But there's been a lot of things popping up with Russia lately. Joe Biden's White House was in talks to give nuclear weapons back to Ukraine. This is absolutely insane. There's two things they're thinking. They either want to start World War III or they want to give Ukraine the ultimate leverage going into these negotiations once Trump gets in office. And if Trump gets in office and they don't have nuclear weapons, well, they don't have any negotiating power. But if you give somebody like Ukraine nuclear weapons after the war they just been through, Russia has hammered them over and over and over again. They are very likely to to launch that nuclear bomb. And if that happens, Putin's gloves are off. If they even give Ukraine a nuclear weapon, I think Putin's going to start hitting cities within the EU, and it's going to escalate into a broader war. He already said he would have targets in the rest of EU if Ukraine did get a nuclear weapon. So there used to be this agreement that we didn't want to go to nuclear war, but as far as the U.S. is concerned, the gloves are now off for them, and they're losing power, so I don't think they really care. We'll have to see what happens when Trump gets into office. I really hope they don't give Ukraine a nuclear weapon, because that would be the worst thing they can do at a moment like this. Going forward, I think tomorrow I'm going to post a speech of Javier Milei, the president of Argentina. He gave a couple of speeches, one in front of the World Economic Forum and another one in front of the UN, and they were absolutely phenomenal. He is a bit of a character, and he speaks very robustly, especially when he gives speeches in front of large audiences. But I was watching an interview with him and Lex Freeman, and it was a very, very good interview. It wasn't the normal Javier Milei that you see. He wasn't overly verbose or any of this. He spoke very calm, very intelligently. It was a very intellectual back and forth conversation. He spoke very in-depthly on how he fixed Argentina, at least the Argentina inflation crisis, which seems to now been brought under control, as well as Argentina's crimes, and now how he's planning to fight corruption and how he has been fighting corruption. It was very interesting when Lex Freeman and Javier Milei were talking about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is in charge of Doge. They're basically it's the department that's gonna reform the American government and create a much smaller government than to what they have now. And Javier Milei said Elon Musk is looking to replicate what they did in Argentina. So they're looking at very closely what Argentina did, as well as what El Salvador did, and hoping to replicate that within the U.S. Now, the U.S. isn't in the same financial disaster area, Argentina, or the criminal area, the criminal disaster that El Salvador was in. But because they're in good shape, if they can implement really good policies that have worked in these countries that have already been beta tested, I think the U.S. should be in pretty good shape. And if they do replicate like something like they did in Argentina and El Salvador, the U.S. population that gave Trump a mandate as far as a popular vote went, I think they're going to be very happy, and whoever takes over after Trump is very likely to be elected, and then you'll have possibly a decade to reform the United States. Although the United States isn't as bad as many South American countries, it's not as good as it looks on the outside. The economy is a false economy. It's a pyramid scheme based on the stock market. Normal people are feeling the economic woes that the United States is in. The dollar doesn't buy as much as it normally would. People are working 3 and 4 jobs at a time. Anyway, that's it for Friday night from Mexico City. Thank you for watching. Adios.